What's good, YouTube? And welcome to a super important conversation we need to have about price fixing on sales data on eBay. I know it's not a merch watch, surprising even though it's a really cool playmat, which we'll also talk about. So this sale looks crazy. This is going for UDS Black Rose mat, range $4,200 for the Jump XL mat that retailed at $30 just like a year and some odd change ago and got re-released less than a year ago. Wow, how could that be happening? Except just yesterday, this April 29th listing said that it sold for $500 less than that, which I still thought was egregious, was crazy, was sick, and maybe that's not true either, because if you just change your listing fast enough and you have multiple items, even if it's a rare item, if you have multiple listed, it seems that when you're changing and hopping around your price, even if you haven't accepted a best offer where there's that slash through, then you can start to make things seem like what they're not. And there's no currency exchange rate causing this or anything. This seller is from Florida. So I think with this, I remember that this lister, when they first came back from Comic-Con and had these listed, they were $150. Somebody in my comments said that they were offered $180 on best offer a while ago, and they said, nah, that's way too much for me. And I don't blame them, because again, this was a $30 mat, and I would even have paid $80 to $90. I was offering double initially when it came out, and Jump actually, when I hit them up, shipped me one, if you might recall. So I ended up securing mine for free, although I did spend like $550 on the rest of their drop, and their Season 0 Kaiba hoodie is amazing. I'm getting dragged into the merch side of things. This is an example of why you as a consumer now can't trust eBay sold. If a seller has other listings, they can just end up manipulating even things that have sold months ago and end up making it look like what it's not. So as a vendor, you need to be aware of this when looking through and trying to decide what to buy things for. As a consumer, when you're buying stuff and you get flashed a phone in your face and, oh, look, it's going for crazy amounts, that's not necessarily true anymore, and eBay really needs to fix its back end of its system so things like this can't be manipulated, because that's just a 24-hour change right there. But let's go ahead and get to the cards, starting with Noble Knight Shield Bearers. Talking about scalping, we see that this one is getting bought up as a penny stonk in ridiculous quantities. Zodiac was crying over it, and to be fair, when you see somebody buy hundreds of copies of something as a call, it's starts to get a lot of attention. It's pretty much for the secondary effect. You can banish this card from your hand or field to add one level 6 or lower Wind Beast monster from your deck to your hand. So people are buying this for the MST deck, and you're able to go for it, and the sales data is pretty crazy. You can still get this for under $1 though, and for having, I think it's only printing out of Brothers of Legend. I don't think it's that bad or crazy of a situation to watch people go penny stonkish for, and I do think it's probably something the deck might end up using, but ridiculous examples of it. There's, again, somebody did a triple digit buy, and the sales are going so fast that some of those are getting buried, but you can see 50, 20, 40, 21, and yeah, there's 130 right there. You know what gets even more ridiculous in that range? Kitchen Dragonmaid. We just covered this going up to $1.30 or so. Now it's towards $3 for the emblem version, and I think there's an even more ridiculous sale if we go down through the data here to where somebody ended up going 640 of them in one go at 75 cents. Now, for the discerning eye who's been keeping track of the plushes next to me because I need expensive gags, House is back over here, and that's because the quarter century secret rare is getting rebought up too. Never bet against Dragonmaids. It was coming back down, and now it's back up towards $40. We also have No Punk Rising Scale. I did miss this one genuinely on the last Market Watch. Usually when people are like, oh, you missed this card, I'm like, no, I've either already covered it in the last week or I'm saving it. No, I just truly ended up missing this one while going through all the other short prints, etc. from the secrets. This has gone up ridiculously so towards $12.50. Apparently it was all the way up towards $15 at one point, and you can see it's still getting sales like crazy at that $12 valuation and was selling for more in the the 14s. I think this will continue to come down after the hype just a bit, but Battles of Legend is a weird one because its sealed continues to go down in price from when we last covered. People are undercutting each other, they just want to get rid of it, yet a lot of the cards inside are getting targeted for buyouts right now, and that means their quantities will have a harder time of repopulating if this isn't getting open. And will that price lowering get people to open enough? I don't think so, because vendors, if they are the ones that would usually mass open and they're in mass selling their sealed boxes at a loss, that means they don't find it worth opening, and you're having to hope a lot of the cards will come back into circulation instead of being held by those people that would be buying this at a discount saying it's a great deal. And I don't know that that's going to end up happening quantity-wise with these cards. Also, the Blue Eyes White Dragon got a bit of a buyout and has skyrocketed and is now towards $180. So gotta say, Gamer's Choice right again. I was like knocking their price. I think they debuted it at 200, but then there's the discount code that brings it down, and then they knocked it down to 150, so now that's a deal. I really thought it was too much, but like, it is the top card of the set, and now it's headed into that range, and I still think this is too much, but people are buying out at that price, and we are still technically week 1. I also want to point out, though, in the Blue Eyes range, we have a new contender here, and this auction is going up towards $170 with 3 days left, and most of the listings for the ulti have disappeared. Now a ton of them have appeared early, and they're getting auto-called or getting bought up and out, and the sales are eye-popping. Again, remember, take sales data with a grain of salt, but we've been able to see a lot of these as they've happened, like the $160 listing, and these would be even cheaper because you're buying multiple, and you can see an early 190, a 160, a 160. So it seems like 160 was the early going rate, but now auctions are starting to push into that range with days left on them to be watched. So a lot of FOMO happening with this Blue Eyes, and I gotta say, they actually did a good job. Look at how it actually etches in and goes in the spiral. People are saying they're getting SM51 vibes, although the eye is not hollow like SM51, not extended art. It really actually did a good job, and I gotta give Konami credit on this specific ultimate rare. I would have liked to see foiling somewhere else within the card, but the background got done justice, and let's hope the quality control is there for once in an OTS pack. So while people are spending 180 on the chibi, people are starting to spend that on the ulti, and I gotta say, long term, even with how OTS has been perceived lately, and a lot of the cards have fallen out over time, even while still being used, I think this one will be very, very strong, super long term, because people have waited for this iteration specifically of Blue Eyes for so long. Even with the QCR being a easy access in this art, and being one that people can settle for, obviously, I think that this one will be doing really well long term. And that quarter doesn't look too good either right there on this specific one, just saying. Speaking of Blue Eyes, though, this is one that I underestimated before, so just saying, on another one I could be underestimating heavily. I thought because this was tablet art in the front, even though it's one of my personal favorites, I could wait, and it did dip, I believe, to $90 at its lowest, and I was like, I'm gonna get it when it's 75, and it never looked back after its first buyout. This is now 450 lowest, and people are spending all sorts of ranges on it at 350 plus on TCG Player. So, lesson learned, never underestimate Blue Eyes, but also maybe don't overestimate it as a whole. It has a playable deck at the moment, still in a WCQ season, and people will buy up things past your expectations at times when it comes to this specific card, especially kind of like Charizard and Pikachu's, depending on the versions inside of Pokemon. This and DMG definitely parallel those two with how they can surpass expectations. We have Mischief of the Gnomes. Get gnomed. That meme's old. It doesn't have a hollow print, but it does have a recent-ish OTS common, and they're all going up because they're good against Mitsurugi and Ryzeal, and people are are teching them against the 2. It also has future implications against other ritual Xyz decks that seems to continue to be the theme. We had new ritual support announced today that's very good, and then you do want to be Xyz overlaying, going that kind of direction, it seems, in the MST deck. So people are using this current format, and it does seem like it could have applications in future. Also, Mischief of the Yokai, STBL only cards still. Preparation and pre-prep are interesting conversations, and they're both getting sales on their quarter century secrets right now, thanks to the new ritual support. My Discord was saying regular prep seems underestimated. However, I will say, pick and choose what kind you want at the lower end, because both of these are rarity 1 and rarity 2, so no nostalgia pool. You can get yourself, nice secret rare options for super cheap, or you could go up to platinum, ultimate, collector rare. There's a lot of different versions you can go for mad cheap on these cards, and I really appreciate that. But the nicer rarities of pre-prep have gotten a lot of attention through time, and they are starting to go up, so be aware that a lot of preps are starting to hit that $1 mark, and that's not the most in the world, but the nicer versions for pre-prep are starting to go. Then also they were pointing out Dynamondo, and I don't disagree with the holographic version. I wouldn't rush out at the common, which is basically being considered bulk, but you do have an OTS tournament pack super as well as an ultra out of the 10s for 2 upgrades on this. And this is a link monster that meshes well with rituals if you haven't read it. It's 2 monsters including a ritual. If this card is special summoned, you target 1 card on the field and 1 ritual in your graveyard. Shuffle both into the deck. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can tribute this card, then target a ritual monster in your graveyard. Either add it to your hand or special summon it. You can only use each effect once per turn. So this is a extra deck piece that ritual decks will want, and then rituals, they keep getting stronger and stronger, both generically and specific different archetypes getting further support. So be aware, Dynamondo holographics might be something you just want to have to get ahead of the curve on. Sky Striker Mobilize Engage Alter Art getting a bit of a price bump once again. Not the most in the world versus its price, like another $15. But be aware, it's sold out at the $160 mark once again, and is towards $175. And after that one's gone, it is back towards $200. And a lot of the high-end cards are just super low quantities. Confirmed support finally coming on in and being imported, so that is important to this archetype and how people perceive it and go crazy over the market on it. We'll see how it actually plays out when it is back here within the ability to be in the metagame. Senzhen is getting used as a bit of an engine in a lot of decks. You don't even have to play the Exodia, surprise. So this is interesting because big bodies on board for different decks are super interesting with a relatively low cost, and this has gone up a good amount over time once again, and it already was up thanks to Master Duel, but now its quantities are running out, and the just gotta have the version of the card, it's headed towards $10 here. And yeah, people really do like using this engine in different decks, and then you also have the casual base that likes it on top of it. And finally, Mekanko Water Arabesque. I don't want to murder names here. I probably already did with Mekanko, but they're both $6. The Ultra as well as the Secret Rare reprint. This has just come up over time. It was around $2 and now it's towards $6 lowest with the new support coming. And you also have this one which was under $2 and is now around $6 as well. We already covered initial rising and $4 price points, so be aware this has gone even further beyond. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch and hearing an old man ramble. I know it started looking like a merch watch at first, but that playmat, while I love it and it's super endeared to me, I thought the more important discussion by far was, look, people can just change prices, and that's kind of scary when you're trying to look up collectibles and niches and reaffirm yourself you're getting good deals.